Sonic is a series that's been going on for quite some time. It's been through ups, it's been through downs, but the one thing consistently great about this franchise has always been the music. Pick a game, any game. I'm confident you'll find a new soundtrack to enjoy. Damn it. In this vast array of Sonic music, there are so many songs that aren't talked about nearly as much as others, especially the more ambient tracks. Sonic's always been known for having upbeat, fast-paced music to match the speed you're moving in-game. You know, stuff like Flying Battery and Metal Harbor. But what about the times when you slow down? Sonic 3D Blast is an odd game to say the least. It was never meant to be Sonic's big game on the Sega Saturn, but due to the development issues with Sonic Extreme, it was all they were able to do. But that's not really a bad thing. Along with its release on Saturn, the entire game received a huge upgrade in both audio, visuals, and even some gameplay tweaks. But the best part about the Saturn version is the fully original soundtrack from Richard Jacques. While the Genesis version takes on a punchier and more typical Sonic soundtrack, the Saturn edition is otherworldly, ethereal, and ambient. It works well with the updated visuals to really immerse you in the environments. I think every song is great here, but none of them hit quite the same as Rusty Ruin Act 2. The amount of layers in the music here make it feel spacious, like you're the first person discovering this long-abandoned temple. The vocals in the background only add to this feeling. It sounds so mysterious. But I think my favorite section is right here. Every track in Sonic 3D Blast on the Saturn all have a segment with this melody. It's very similar to Super Mario World in that manner, but Rusty Ruin might have the best version of that piano loop. Just take a listen. It's so beautiful. That goes for the entire OST. Maybe in the future I'll make a video on everything there. It's definitely one of Sonic's most underrated soundtracks. Let's skip ahead to Sonic Adventure 2. Awesome game with a great soundtrack as well. But almost all these songs are fast-paced rock. There can't be many ambient tracks here, right? Well, I thought the same, until I stepped foot into Lost Colony. At this point in the story, Eggman has just made his way up to the Space Colony Ark. It's completely deserted, only home to some gun robots and artificial chaos experiments. It's a very muted track here at the start, probably meant to emphasize the emptiness of this place. But then, a little ways through the song, you hear this. It doesn't take over the melody, but it almost feels intrusive. I like to think that the guitars represent Eggman, breaking into such a secluded and peaceful place. Later in the song, the melody changes to sound a bit more dangerous, but there's not much to say beyond that due to the short track loop. Still, it does a fantastic job of fitting Lost Colony's atmosphere. Sonic Unleashed has had a huge resurgence in the current day. It went from being one of the most critically panned Sonic games to being somewhat of a cult classic, and even getting a full PC recompilation. While it isn't my favorite Sonic game, I can definitely see why others adore it, and one of the best things about the game is the soundtrack. It's just great here. While the day stages offer the fast-paced music we're all used to, the night stages and Hub World themes slow it down, and really let the environments and music sink in. I could talk about any of these songs, but there's a certain track that stands out just a bit more than the others, and you can't even listen to the full thing in-game. unless you're on the Wii version. While the HD version of Unleashed restricts this song to a short cutscene, Sonic Unleashed uses it in these Gaia gates. Maybe it's just because I grew up with this, but something about hearing the world adventure theme in such a calming way gives off a sense of reverence. It perfectly encapsulates the feeling of exploring these temples. They're empty, but sacred, and the music does a wonderful job of making that clear. I have a question for you. What's the most iconic level in Sonic Colors? For some, it might be Tropical Resort, the place on the box art and where the game begins. Maybe it's Aquarium Park for its beautiful blend of Japanese architecture submerged in an undersea dome. Or maybe it's Sweet Mountain with its creative use of all the food and dessert scattered around the stage. But for me, it's all about the simple things. Planet Wisp. This stage perfectly conveys Sonic's vision from the very first game. The beauty of nature being corrupted by the force of industrialism, and the music for the stages fits that theme well, going from simple piano notes to symbolize nature, to a more industrial beat with the piano's melody turning a bit somber. It's genius, but that's not my main focus. What I want to talk about is this. The hub world themes and colors are sorely underrated. Stuff like Tropical Resort and Starlight Carnival are happy and get you stoked to play more. But Planet Wisp is different. While the level themes focus mainly on the corruption of this once natural planet, the hub world is here to remind you that nature will never truly die out. Chirps of the wisps and playful beat are very reminiscent of the Chow Garden theme in Sonic Adventure 2, and I think that was intentional. In SA2, it's meant to be a place to relax between the fast-paced story. In Colors, it serves a similar purpose, but also shows you what you're fighting for. Now we've reached Sonic Frontiers. This is half the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. It has one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire series. There's so much variety here, from the drum and bass and electronic cyberspace tracks, to the heavy metal Titan songs, to the beautiful, serene island themes. These tracks are what I'm here for. But before we get into those, let's pause. While writing this video, I made a tweet talking about the Sonic Frontiers prologue animation, Divergence. Specifically, the music there. It's this enchanting version of Sky's Sanctuary that really resonated with me and clearly lots of others. But unfortunately, the track was never released by itself, so you couldn't listen to it without hearing the dialogue. Until now. Surprise, surprise, T. Lopes found the tweet. If you didn't know, he was the one who composed this track in the first place, so he decided to grace us with the raw instrumental. Enjoy. Huge respect to T. Lopes for releasing this. Please go support him and his music. Anyways, back on track. The island themes. You'll be hearing these for most of your adventure, and they are incredible. I've seen a lot of people write these off as just random ambience, but the island tracks are much, much more than that. Each island has 7 tracks, all separated into movements. These tracks change each time you get an emerald, so you aren't listening to a single one for too long. But my favorite part about this is that every movement builds upon the melody from the last one, so the music truly does evolve the more you progress. We'll use Ouranos as an example. When Sonic wakes up here, the mood is melancholy, sad, and the music reflects this with a simple piano loop accompanied by some background ambience. It's probably the closest thing to something you'd hear in Breath of the Wild. But as you leave the tutorial area and get your first Chaos Emerald, the whole mood of the song changes. Instead of sadness being the main emotion, Ouranos Movement 2 is here to convey the freeness of the island. Ouranos Movement 3 plays after your first encounter with Giganto, and while it uses the same melody as 2, it is a whole new piano intro that gives off a sense of determination. I think you understand what I'm getting at now. So let's jump ahead to my favorite theme in Ouranos, Movement 4. All the Ouranos tracks are great, but Movement 4 marks a turning point in the melody. A lot more digital instruments are present, almost like cyberspace itself is bleeding into the song. The mood here is very tense, with an added hint of mystery as well, but there's also an underlying theme of desolation. At the end, the violins and digital instruments combine together to make the best version of the Ouranos melody. Just listen. It's funny though, I've been talking about how the music evolves as you progress the story, but my favorite track doesn't conform to any of that. No building melody throughout the island, no changing themes throughout multiple tracks, just everything I love about the movements condensed into a single, perfect masterpiece. This is Ouranos Island. Ouranos is the final island in the game, and the theme really helps to give off that sense. It's this frantic yet beautiful piano loop that soon mixes with violins. Out of nowhere though, a choir breaks up the loop. The song then begins building up rapidly, adding slight digital instruments in the background with some extra appearances from the choir. And then, one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in this franchise plays. I like to think the choir represents the ancients calling out to Sonic, motivating and driving him to avenge the lives they lost so many years ago. What an incredible track. And that's every song I'm going over today. Thanks for watching. Making a video about this topic has been my passion for a good while, so I'm really happy to have it all finished. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to comment down below your favorite Ambient Sonic tracks. If this video does well, or if I just feel like it, I might even cover some of your suggestions in the future. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe and follow me on Twitter to see me yap about more Sonic music. I hope you all have a wonderful day. See ya.